Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. I'm your host, Coach Conway. Welcome to another episode of the True Fitness Podcast. We're going through a series of questions, and I appreciate your engagement. This one I thought was a big one. I think several people, from people that I train on a daily basis to people that I interact with on social media, to people that I interact with and engage on YouTube in the comments sections, have asked a lot about mindset. I think this ranges in importance from an everyday athlete to an elite competitor, and it really affects us in every facet of our life. This affects the way that we manage our career. This affects the way that we manage our learning if you're still a student. This affects our relationships with family and friends. This affects the way that we manage our home if we're a parent. This affects every single aspect of your life, including your spirituality. So I think this is an important topic. So the title, if I had to give it one, is How to Have a Champion's Mindset. And this has come from several competitors, and it ranges in a lot of ways. They didn't ask me directly, Coach, how do I have a champion's mindset? They said, Coach, I'm struggling with motivation. Coach, how do I go into the gym every day and continue to do the tasks needed in order to be successful? Coach, I'm struggling with burnout. How do I deal with this? Um, Coach, I struggle with self doubt. Coach, I struggle with performing when the stakes are highest. When pressure rises, I struggle with my anxious feelings and my worries, and they overcome me. Then I underperform. If this sounds like you in any way, shape, or form, this podcast is going to bring you tremendous value. Now, I want to start by just addressing myself historically as an athlete. I grew up in a family that did a really great job at giving me a couple things. Those few things equip me for the rest of my life. And so I want to, if you're a parent, listen to this closely. Um, my family wasn't always walking through their dreams in the moment, like living their dream, whatever they perceive for themselves, but they were constantly doing the best with what they had. I never grew up in a household that was in want. We always had plenty, but they certainly had more desires to have better things or different things or travel and things that we just weren't able to do recreationally. Fortunately, part of my family's in the military, and that provided opportunity for travel. Here's what I want to share. The two things that I did have growing up were I knew that people believed in what I could do. It is almost like when I go back, there was a symphony of things that consistently happened for me where someone would be in my ear expressing that they loved me and that they believed in me. And that ranges from my grandparents to uncles to cousins to friends to my siblings and, of course, to my parents, even through teachers and coaches. But I want to say that this was strongly impacted my heart and what I thought I was capable of because I was constantly assured. Oh man, you're going to be great at this. Oh, you could do this. Yeah, man, you got this. Oh, I didn't have this, but you could have this. Oh, you got a bright future, young man. Like all these things were consistently given to me. I paid them no mind. I paid them no mind. At the time, it was in one ear and out the other. I wanted to go play with my friends. It was in one ear, out the other. I just wanted to go score a touchdown. It was in one ear and out the other. I just wanted to make varsity as a freshman. It was in one ear and out the other. I just wanted to get a college scholarship. It was in one ear and out the other. I just wanted to be all state. As you can see, my desire started to continue to level up, and I believe I had the audacity to believe in myself because somehow they were instilled in me. Now, I think a lot of this is spiritual. I was in and out of church growing up, but I knew Bible stories. I knew about David. I knew about Moses. Um, I knew about Jesus, of course. I knew about Paul. I knew enough to compare myself to people who had done great things spiritually in the Bible, which of course was always a guiding tenet in my life. Not that I prioritized it always till I hit 20. The idea that I want to lay out for you guys in this podcast is to share vulnerably that I believe I was put on a good trajectory because of that alone. The other thing that I had was a goal. And because these two things were always paired together, I feel as though it gave me this undefeated mindset. So because I knew I could have a thing if I wanted a thing, right? So that confidence that was instilled for me through all these people that I listed to you, it made me feel like if someone else could do it, so could I. Even though I might not come from where that person's come from, even though I might not have the resources that they have, even though I might not have the coaches that they have, boy, that just motivated me to grind even more. That made me more stubborn to the idea that I wouldn't be denied. But I did have this belief in myself. To pair that with the goal, and the goal was simply this early on in my childhood. It was that I wanted to be able to do a job that I chose. Now, no one in my immediate family at the time had gone to college. I knew I wasn't going to be able to pay for college. So I had to get a scholarship. I wanted to play in the NFL and the NBA. One of those two, probably both. I probably thought I was going to do both. Because of course it just worked out that way. You know what I mean? Bo Jackson could do football and baseball. Deion Sanders could do football and baseball. Why not? Why not dabble? Why not be the shooting guard and also be the receiver? Why not be the point guard and also the running back? I thought that was me. I thought that was your boy. It didn't play out that way. But because I had the audacity to believe in myself in this way, you see, I had this fictional mindset. So I was constantly telling myself stories from the time I was young. I spent a lot of time by myself because I traveled a lot between my parents and my upbringing. So I had this freedom to daydream. I had this freedom to make believe, and I made myself the hero a lot. I tell you this again because as I'm 39 years old, turning 40 this year, a lot of these things haven't built up the reality in my mind of their value to me as a growing child until now. Until now that I work with athletes that struggle with identity, I train people who struggle with motivation. I train people who struggle with compliance. I train people who struggle with being overly obsessive and not having outlets. All of this is involved in a champion's mindset. So stay with me here. I had belief in myself and I had a goal. So my actions constantly led me to that goal. And even on days I didn't want to do it, I realized that I could, right? That was that belief. And I knew this is where I needed to be. And I knew these things in between are what I had to do. What that led me down the rabbit hole, of course, was like exploring what it meant to be a good football player and a good basketball player. Okay. Well, to be both of those, you got to run fast, you got to jump high. There's some training involved with that. I'm not the fastest and I can't jump the highest, but I want to make sure that I run my fastest and jump my highest. So as I grew up, I was training. I got into training. I was curious about it. My dad and my stepmom would go to the gym. My mom would go to the gym. So I was getting it both in both households. I was very fortunate that at the time of a lot of my most developmental years physically, man, my mom was getting up 3 times a week at 4:30, go to the gym. And I would wake up with her and go. And it wasn't every time, but it was a lot of the time. And I might even just go there and just hoop and play basketball in the morning by myself in an empty gymnasium, which to me is like one of the most attractive things ever. If you're a basketball player and you've ever just got this ball in a beautiful gymnasium and there's no one else there, and you can just get up as many shots as you want, and you can finesse as much as you want and do whatever drills you want. Like now, of course, basketball players always got a rebounder and they got a coach and they got the skills. There was nothing more attractive to me than the smell of a clean, well lit gymnasium with a good rim, single barrel, of course, not the double rim. Nah. Oh my goodness. See, this is the obsessive side of me as it comes out. I haven't played basketball since I was a junior in high school, formally, like pick up, play, all this. But man, the passion there for this and the nuance of the details of that experience alone lets you know how maybe crazy I am. Football, you got to have someone else almost there, unless you're doing footwork, unless you're doing training, unless you're lifting, right? Like all those things I could do by myself. So I did those things by myself, but it wasn't that same passion that you could instill and just play and hoop and pretend and do these things. Now, I'm sorry I go out on tangents, so forgive me. You guys know this. Welcome to the True Fitness Podcast. If you're new here, this happens on a regular basis. The champion's mindset in me was instilled in that because I had these people around me doing these things, and what it allowed me to do in the gym was fall in love with the process. So I became really obsessed with just hooping by myself. If it was raining, I'm going outside to hoop. If it was hot, I'm going outside to hoop. If it was dark outside, I'm going outside to hoop. I liked it. It was peaceful. It was me and my thoughts. It was me and this obsessive drive to get better. I'm pretending I'm playing against these people. I'm playing against Michael Jordan. I am Michael Jordan. I'm Allen Iverson. I'm Vince Carter. I'm Kobe. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing a thing that I just watched them do in the Western Conference Finals. Mike Bibby dishing the ball to Chris Webber. I'm going out to do the thing at the hoop. But it made me fall in love with the process. Early lesson for me. First objective for you. If you want to have a champion's mindset, you must understand what it takes to accomplish what you want. So set a goal. Many of the athletes that I work with, they want to go to semifinals. Many of the athletes that I want to work with, we want to go to the age group CrossFit Games. Many of the athletes that I work with, they want to lose 50 pounds. Awesome. All of those goals different. All of those goals need to be attacked in the same way. You need to know what it takes to get there or to be that person that gets there. Okay. Make a list of things. Well, if you go to the CrossFit Games, you got to prioritize your sleep. Well, if you go to the CrossFit Games, you got to be able to do 50 ring muscle ups in a workout. Okay. Let's start with one. What are you going to need to do to get a muscle up? Write it down. Okay. To get to the CrossFit Games, I've got to prioritize my training in the gym and my recovery outside the gym. Okay, that means nutrition, recovery work. Got it. So we get this list. You get the idea. To be someone that loses 50 pounds, what do you got to do? Well, I've got to eat whole foods. Okay. I've got to manage my stress inside and outside of the gym. Awesome. True. I've got to drink enough water. Okay. I got to sleep. Yep. I got to be consistent in what? In everything I do. That's right. Someone who's not 50 pounds overweight is pretty consistent in everything they do. Chalk it up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. All right. So now we're getting these lists, right? If you look at this list and you dread this list, not meaning that you're not intimidated. You should be intimidated by a list. The pursuit of greatness should intimidate you. It should be hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, everybody would have it, but it's not. What I mean, though, is if you look at that list and you're like, I don't know, Adrian, that's a stretch for me. But we've agreed as coach and as client that list is what you need to do in order to get to where you need to be. You better love it. You better have a passion for the process. If you can't develop a passion for the process, you will not make the end goal. I could end the podcast right there, but I won't. Don't worry. Passion for the process is important because you have to love the process itself more than the end result. Because here's the sad truth about everything. If you want to make it to the CrossFit Games, and that's a lifelong goal for you, you get to live it for 3 days. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Unless you love the process to get there. Unless you love the way that it changes your brain and your heart and your mind and your physicality and the way that you treat people and the way that you're disciplined and the things that you do at work and the things that you don't do at work and the things that you do in church and the things that you don't do in church. If the passion for the process to be a CrossFit Games athlete doesn't affect you to your cellular level and change you and you love that, it's not worth it. Here's why. It's going to take sacrifice and compromise. You're going to have to say no to so much. You're going to have to say yes to so much commitment. But you're going to have to say no to so much in order to make it happen that if you don't love it, it's going to suck the joy out of your life. And if it does that, guess what? Maybe you'll make it once. And maybe that's your goal and that's it. So it could happen. But if you want to keep making it, you got to stay committed. You got to be obsessed with the process. If you want to be the person that loses 50 pounds, and we got this list, and you're like, Adrian, I want to be 50 pounds lighter. First off, I want to tell you that I can help anyone lose 50 pounds. That is not hard. That is simple math, then rules. Math, then rules, math, then rules. 50 pounds, you can lose it. Math and rules. You weigh and measure your food. You apply the math that is needed to put you in a caloric deficit to follow the timeline to lose 50 pounds. You will lose it. If you want to be the person that keeps the 50 pounds off, you have got to love the process. You've got to fall in love with eating vegetables. You've got to fall in love with the process of going to sleep on time. You got to fall in love with the discipline of waking up on time. You got to fall in love with going to the gym and moving your body through space, chasing intensity, quantifying the results in the gym. You got to fall in love with the community because you're going to need other people to help you along the way. You've got to fall in love with food prep. You've got to fall in love with learning nature and eating vegetables and fruits that grow with the season. You've got to love the feeling of eating real food versus processed food because there's a difference. And if you have never experienced that difference, I want to encourage you to try to find it. But you've got to find a passion for the process to get you where you want to go. Folks, this is the number one thing, and this is the biggest gap that people don't understand. I've said this for many years on many podcasts, and I'll continue to say it on many podcasts to come. If you tell me, coach, I want to go to the CrossFit Games, or I want to win a competition in any way, you have to actually want the thing. Stand by. You can't want to want the thing. So this means you've got to have some really hard conversations with yourself. Dang, do I actually want to win a competition? Here's how you find the answer. What do people who win competitions do? What do people who win competitions live like? What do people who win competitions train like? What do people who win competitions look like? All of these things, well, it's less about the aesthetic. It's more about considering the lifestyle and things that you've got to fall in love with. Because if you don't want to do those things and you don't want to be that way, maybe you don't want to win a competition. Maybe that's not actually what you want. Maybe you got to refine your why. Maybe your purpose is coach, what I want to do though, is I want to really find out what I'm made of and what I can do within my lifestyle currently, but really maximize it. I want to be able to find out what I'm made of, but I want to be able to work and I want to still be able to spend time with my kids and I want to be able to, right? You have to go through this list because there's compromises that people who are great at certain things will make for their life because they are obsessed with the process that you won't be willing to make. And that's okay. Don't let me make you feel like that's not okay, because it's okay. But you got to be honest about it. Honesty is one of the biggest things. Passion for the process is one of the biggest things. You've got to believe in yourself and you've got to have a goal to accomplish. The things that are between those things, you are who you are and you know you can have it. You give it a fall in love with everything in between. Otherwise, it won't be accomplished. And if you don't start with believing in yourself, you got no chance. You got no chance. I'll repeat. You have no chance if you don't believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself and see yourself 30 pounds lighter and that's your goal, you want to lose 30, you can't have it. You won't have it. If you believe that you can make it to the age group online semifinals and you don't see it there and you don't feel it and you don't see yourself and feel yourself and visualize yourself there and living the lifestyle needed and doing the recovery practices and spending, you won't have it. The mind is a powerful tool. I want to share with you guys about Rich Froning a little bit because I'm a student of him to the nth degree. The man has done things that only other humans will dream to accomplish. And he's really stayed the test for time, right? You want to challenge his character? Good luck. You want to challenge his lifestyle? Good luck. He just is who he is and he's honest about it. And he's had ups and downs. But he's consistently at the top of everything that he does. From a business perspective, killing it. From a humility perspective, to surround himself with people who actually specialize in things that he doesn't know much about, killing it. Go back and watch some videos of Rich early on in his career, mid-peak career, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all those years. I think it would be easy to assume that Rich Froning is obsessed with competition. From what I've seen, from what I've heard, from what I've even witnessed, and from a career perspective, a pretty small amount of time we spent around each other, Rich likes competition. Rich loves training. Rich loves training. Rich Froning loves to train. You want to go eat dinner with Rich Froning? You better be ready to work out after. You want to go ask Rich to sit down to coffee for 20 minutes? You better be able to work out before and after. You want to go to his house? You better meet him at the barn because he's working out. My man loves to train. Is that genetic? Is it in his heart? Is it wired through his body and his spirit? Yep, all of it. The reason I bring him up this way is because the same way that I'll bring up Tia Claire Toomey. These greats in our space. Tia loves to compete. I think that she loves to compete more than Rich loved to compete. I think Tia loves to compete more than Matt loved to compete. And I think that's why she's still doing it. Thank goodness. What a blessing we have to have her. But equally, if the CrossFit Games went away 5 years ago, we'd probably be hearing about her in another sport because she also loves to train. These people love to train. If you come to me and you say competitively, I have a goal, coach, but I don't really like to train that much. Man, it's hard for me to find motivation to get in a gym. You can't have it. You can't have it. No one tells me to work out. No one watches me work out. No one cares what I do in the gym. I go in the gym because I got this weird switch. I'm obsessed with maximizing my potential in everything that I do. When I stand here in front of this podcast, I'm going to watch it back in a few days and I want it to be better. I want to be able to ooze more passion to my audience. I want to be able to see what I can do on this microphone that actually impacts the lives of other people and not just fires them up or not just leads them down the rabbit hole of just having something good to listen to on their way to work or during their zone two. I don't want that. I want you to listen to me and go take action. That's my job. I'm a coach. If I'm not eliciting a change, I'm not good at what I do. If it doesn't provoke you to go get coaching, if it doesn't provoke you to go question your training, if it doesn't provoke you to question, man, do I really have what it takes to see out this goal? And how can I transform my mindset? Maybe you need a coach. Maybe you need someone to question you. If you don't love to be in the gym, you can't win at the thing. Not this sport. Not this sport. There are some sports where you can skate on by. You might be able to be one of the best baseball players in the entire world and not fall in love with the process of the weight room. You better love baseball. You better love to throw that thing and hit that thing. CrossFit, you can't have it though, because you have to love to train. Excuse me. People in our space who don't love to train get burnt out. They can be flashes in the pan because they have tremendous talent and work ethic. But if they don't love it, they're burnt out. They got to remove themselves for years, forever, for whatever reason, but they just don't last. I say all of this to help people understand that the champion's mindset is both nature and nurture. It is something that has to root back into a very specific and global why for your life. I think that if you note the champions, if you note the Michael Jordans, if you note the Derek Jeters, if you note the LeBron James, if you note the Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, the Matt Frasers, the Rich Fronings, the Tia Claire Toomey's, the Annie Thorstadders. These people all find a tremendous purpose in what they do. Do they love and obsess the sport? Yeah. Do they do it because they want to be great? Yes. Do they want to be superior to other humans? Absolutely. Yes. They love it so much. They love it. They love it so much. But they have really big whys. The why often even extends outside of themselves. Now, I'm not going to put everybody on a pedestal like everyone has this aha spirituality where they want to work for all things as though they're working for God. Christians do, I hope. But a lot of people aren't Christians and achieve great things. Their why is big. Is your why big? Because you'll never have a champion's mindset if it's not a big why. Now, how do you find your why? I'm going to help you. I'm going to ask you a question. So answer it to yourself. What is one thing that you want to accomplish? What is one thing that's a little bit scary that you want to accomplish? Pause the video. Pause the podcast. Answer the question. Okay, welcome back. After you pause the question, if you didn't pause and answer that question, I'm disappointed in you. Don't bother listening to any other podcast because I ain't here just to talk. The next question that I want you to ask yourself is, why do I want to achieve that? Why do I want to achieve that? Pause the episode and answer the question. Welcome back. After you ask yourself, why do I want to achieve that? I want you to ask yourself something else. Why is that thing important to me? Why is that thing important to me? So you've asked yourself what you want to accomplish. Then you said, why do I want to achieve that? So you came out with a thing. There's something else that you answered why you want to achieve that. And I want you to ask yourself, why is that important to you? Pause the episode and answer it. Welcome back. I now want you to ask yourself one more time. Why is it that thing? What is the purpose of that thing that I find is important? You don't got to pause it here. The idea here is you need to understand the depths of a choice that you make. This is going to be the guiding light and the potential for your success. The guiding light. Here's how my journey started. And I'm going to end it with this because I know this is a lot of ranting and a lot of emotional hype and examples and all the things. I hope this helps you though. Because to have a champion's mindset is hard. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. So if you read this and then you were like, oh, Adrian's going to help me have a champion's mindset. Everybody can't have it. Somebody got to lose, folks. There's losers in this world. And I don't mean losers like, oh, you can't win, but there's people who will submit that they just choose to be losers. And so you can't have the champion's mindset if you submit to being a loser. Oh, here's a loser. Oh man, that's just my circumstance. I would never be able to do that because I don't got all of that. I don't have an opportunity to do this. I didn't. No one gave me a free card. Look at that person. They excuses, 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 excuses. Loser. That's a loser. Don't be a loser. Be a winner. Have a champion's mindset. Here's my deal. I told you people believed in me and I had a goal. The reason that goal was important is because it made me hungry. I became so hungry, I became aggressive. Luckily, I played football. I would look at other kids who I thought could afford college, and that would give me a big chip on my shoulder. And guess what I would do physically? I would make them feel me. Football let me do that. Hey, cool. I'm going to try to put my face through your face. Hey, cool. Go low on me and try to tackle me. I'm going to try to. This sounds really bad. Sounds really bad. Please pray for me. Please pray for me. And I don't think like this anymore. I'm a Christian. I had to change that. While I was in college playing Division I football, I had to change this. People went low on me. I would try to drive my head through their neck, through their face. Cool, bring your head down here. I'm going to try to drive my head so that it jams your neck back and so that you actually can't move it around anymore. That's football. I don't care if you want to go low to tackle me. I'm going to make you pay. That sounds gross, but this is like the psychology of a competitor, right? And a violent one at that. So I liked that. And I liked, and I promise I'm getting somewhere. I'm not just running my mouth. This deep competitive drive came because I had urgency and hunger. I can't have a thing. I need to be so good at a thing. And I'm showing everybody all the time. I knew that if I needed to get a college scholarship, I had to have ink. What's ink mean? Well, in my time growing up, I was in high school from basically 2000 to 2004. I had to get my name in the paper. I had to get a fumble. I had to run back an interception. I had to get 10 tackles. I had to get 3 sacks. I had to strip a guy. I had to score 4 touchdowns. I had to have 200 yards rushing. These are things I knew because that garnered the attention of college coaches. Today's world, you can find anybody with talent. They don't even need good stats. You got videos of kids out there running, changing direction, catching balls. Some coaches can identify talent in such a way that it's like your boy could get a scholarship with 6 catches in high school. And it's crazy. But like I knew that wasn't going to be me, and that wasn't in my time. Social media wasn't a thing. Videos weren't being sent around on DVD all the time. It was like old school tape. You had to make the tape. You had to make sure it got in their hands. I knew I needed ink. So guess what that made me? A fierce competitor. Fierce competitor. At practice, if there was someone in front of me and I'm a sophomore and they're a senior, I will show this coach how inferior they are to me because I'll bust my tail. I will run faster than them from drill to drill. I will beat them in this tackling drill. If they beat me, I will be ticked and I will ask, can I go again? And I will do it just to annoy that person because I don't care if they like me because I'm here to take a job because I want the ink. I want to be the starter. I want to be the man. This sounds terribly selfish. And as I verbalize it, it's almost embarrassing. I could care less. Because it's this competitive mindset that put me where I've been through sports, through training, through CrossFit, through seminar staff, right? And it's a different flavor of mentality because now as a Christian man, there are certain things that I would never do to put someone else down that I did do as a teenager, that I would do in high school, that I did do as a freshman in college. I understand now as I've matured that it's not about me putting other people down or beating them to a pulp or having hate in my heart as a motivation, because that's sin. But it's more about really exploring what I'm made of in my heart. Do I believe that God gifted me with a great body and a great mind and good potential? Yes. How foolish it would be of me to waste that. And guess what wasting it would be? It would be to feel bad for myself when I'm sore and I go into the gym and not maximize my potential. It would be wasting it if I go in and put myself in harm's way because I'm so prideful that I don't want to be a quitter, but I know I need to listen to my body and slow down. There are so many different avenues and ways to explore this. So when I talk to people, when I talk to my clients and we have discussions about mindset and how to develop a champion's mindset, it's very complicated. And the conversation that I have with a female that is 48 and a male that is 17 are completely different. And guess what? I've got completely different conversations with 2 men that I have that are both 26 and both not terribly far from going to the CrossFit Games. Terribly different because they're different humans. They have different backgrounds. They have different struggles. They have different buttons to be pushed in order for them to maximize their potential. My why transformed through my life from a fear of being inadequate, from a very much scarcity mindset. I came from a place, and I think I was surrounded by athletes and people whom I felt like if I didn't score, then I wasn't going to get an opportunity, and that was someone else taking my opportunity, right? So, some grace to my own self here is like I needed to mature there. Now I don't operate from a scarcity mindset. I understand that opportunity exists for everyone in a lot of different ways, but who's willing to take it? And my why came from very self-seeking and self-prosperity and opportunity and get me to the league because I want this money to provide for my family and I want this freedom for my kids that I didn't have. I don't want my kids to have to be athletes if they don't want. I want to be able to provide for them in different ways because I love sports, thank God. But I felt like that was the only way that I was going to do anything. So that's what I did. I didn't want that for my kids. I recognized what that pressure felt like. I wore that pressure at 13. I never said it to anybody, but that's what I felt. I looked at what other athletes did in my area that got the college scholarships and got the things, and I was like, that has to be me, or I'm going to be like everybody else doing this other stuff that they don't like, and in a city that they don't like, and with a spouse that they're barely getting by with. Like there were so many things that were going through my mind at a young age, and I think to myself, man, I didn't want that for my family. Not that it was bad. So anybody that knows me or grew up with me, I don't want people to think that I had it hard, but I put that pressure on myself for some unknown reason. As I got older, though, it had to change because my why had to get much bigger. Self-seeking wasn't going to get me there. I studied the Bible. I started to get to know God when I was in college, and that changed me a ton. It changed the way that I pursued sports. I think it changed my football career. I think that it changed the way that I looked at my teammates, looked at my opponents. Again, I told you I operated with like hate in my heart. I stored it up. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of things that I had to deal with that I'll share with you guys at some point, probably on these different podcasts. Don't got the time today. This one shouldn't have went over 30 minutes. But I want to share with you that your background, who you are, who your parents are, where you lived, where you didn't live, who you got coached by and who didn't, all those things will dictate how you transform a champion's mindset. So I probably taught you nothing through this episode. Okay. What I hope you understand is that it's not a one size fits all journey. But I will say this is the global demand for a champion's mindset. You need to think about what you want and why you want it. And when you think you have a good answer, keep asking yourself why and go deeper and go deeper and go deeper. Because then you found your why. And then it will bleed into much more than just this thing that you're chasing because it will reflect every action that you take in your life for everything else. As you have that firm why, it makes you look at the things that you have to do differently. It makes the inconveniences feel more convenient. It makes that lack of motivation turn into motivation and follow through. You don't even need feelings actually, because you just turn into the thing, the end product. You're maturing psychologically and emotionally into the end product that you want to be because you want that goal so badly. So it transforms you. A lot of rants. I'm completely exhausted. Thank you if you made it this far for sticking with me. I hope this brings a little bit of value and at least maybe some questioning to your mind and where you're at. And I unveiled a little bit of the psycho behind my mind and how I am as a competitor and how it transformed through the years. And now I do everything that I do in my power to glorify God. So with a much different internal motivation. But I definitely still never want to leave any stone unturned. I certainly want the day that I tap out of this physical body for God to say like, yo, you checked all the boxes that you possibly could. And I know that won't be true. I'm not going to be perfect, but that's what I fear every day is that I'm not going to make the most of what God has given me the ability to have and oversee. So that's why I grind every day. That's why I try to be my best. What is it for you? And I hope this podcast gave you that question. And I hope that you guys go out and please reach out to me if you have questions. If this is an internal conversation that you'd like to have with me and you want to get on a call, reach out to me, Adrian at TTRUfitness.com. Adrian at truefitness.com is my email. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. And understand that this is a really big part of coaching. This is if you're a competitor, if you do one-to-one program and design and you're a coach If these conversations aren't conversations that you're having with your clients and they don't bring them up, you got to. You got to bring them up, because no one can compete just as a shell of a body. If you don't get in there with them and have this kind of depth of a relationship and push the buttons and ask the questions, when they show up and they feel pressure, the trust and depth here between coach and athlete is not the same. So you got to get a little bit ugly. Sometimes you got to get deep. And I think it's well worth it. And it starts with you and yourself. Ask yourself these hard questions. Ask yourself your whys behind what you do. So you're not a competitive athlete. That's okay. So you're married. Start there. Why are you married? Why'd you want to get married? Why'd you want to fulfill that role? Why do you fulfill that role? Why is that role important to you? It's a rabbit hole for each and every role that we play in our lives. And I hope that you're willing to explore it. I hope this helps you guys stay hungry for a champion's mindset. No, it's not one size fits all. Know that it starts with you, and ask yourself the hard questions. If you need feedback, I'm here for it. Please give us a comment below of this video if you followed all the way through. I know it was a long one. And if you have questions, if you have curiosities, if there's topics that you'd like for me to explore in more depth, and of course with more direction than this elusive topic, then I'd love to help and support you there. So please do it. We'll keep the Q&A podcast coming. The more engagement that we get, the better. So like and share these episodes if it does something or adds any value to you. But it all starts with why. So keep rising, my friends. We'll see you next time.